Hello and welcome back. Today we'll be sculpting a cartoon style character head. So if you're ready, so let's start. First I will select my cube and go into modifiers and add a subdivision modifier. Add like 5 levels to it and apply. Now I want to hide other things, so what you can do is have your now sphere selected and press Shift H and everything, just the sphere will not be hidden. Now let's go into the sculpting mode. On the left side at the bottom you can see what I'm pressing. So let's go into the front view with number pad 1 or using these arrows. And let's turn on the symmetry. Symmetry is in here, so now we can see I only have one dot and one bubble. If I turn on the symmetry, I have 2 dots and I can work on 2 sides. Okay. If your toolbar looks different, if you just closely scroll through here, you can see that you can change how your tools are looking. So I put on where I can see all of them. Now, with the grab tool selected, shortcut G, I start forming my head. So usually cartooning heads are not that tall and quite egg-shaped like. So you can say I created an egg with the 7 on number pad. I go into the top view and I just make my head a bit taller and wider at the back. You can see we were working on the back. And number pad 3 for the side view to fix the side of the head. Now take your time and perfect the head shape because it's very important. We can always change it, but having a good base is going to make it easier for head to be sculpted. Okay, so I like to get my neck very early in the sculpting process because it helps with the look and it's very nice landmarks to follow. So I'll use M to get a mask tool and mask the bottom. Go to the side view, press A and hold my A to get the masking menu. And there's an invert mask button. Now I'm going to select the move and just move it down. You can see you have it a bit on the side, but we will still draw on it. I will clear the mask again with the A, shortcut for A mask editor. And at this point, I feel like I need to use a bit of remesh. Shift R for remesh resolution. Don't forget to turn on your statistics on viewport overlay so you can see how many vertices you have. So don't look at what number I'm getting in here. Look at how many vertices I have on my mesh and try to follow that. Oh, at this point I look for like 30,000 and I want to work a bit more on the neck. I like to add a bit more at the bottom, so I mask this part and invert the mask. And now I press A and release it, so I'm not holding A, and move to smooth mask quickly. And if you do it quickly, the menu will disappear and you will still get the operation. So if I clear the mask, see, it disappears. So press, release, and drag quickly. Just when you press, release, drag. And if you do it like this, you can quickly do a lot of smoothing operations. And now I'm gonna use the scale brush. I have a shortcut to move my pivot point into unmasked, and you can find it here on the scope, set pivot and pivot to unmasked. As you can see, I have a shortcut. You can set up the shortcut with right click, change shortcut. So what I'm going to do now is at any point, you don't have to use these, just drag. And now I have a form of the torso. It seems like it's not scaling correctly. Let's try doing it again. Let's again change the pivot. Okay, so the pivot is the problem. Let's try scaling a bit on the red. Seems it's not working, so let's not use the pivot point and just scale it like this. At this point we can use a move tool and move our torso in the position. The grab tool, adjust. And now quickly, with some of the mistakes, errors, but now you'll know how to power through those errors if something is happening. Okay, so I'll make it smaller because we're making a cute head of girls. I'll create the mask and smooth more for this slightly. I will remesh again with Ctrl R. Now we're at the 50,000, but it's only because we have more mesh. That's why it shows that we have more vertices. Okay, so when I was scaling this side, now our head is not looking too much like an egg. So I will try to make it look like somewhat of an egg again. And now we can start forming our head. I'll use clay strips, and I always like to highlight the jawline and even draw a bit on the face from this perspective. Now for a cartoony style, your jaws has to be quite smooth shape. So in annotations, let me add an annotation, red one, and let me just add more pixels to the brush. So usually when you're drawing a jaws, they're going to be having this sharp angle, but when you're going for a cartoony style for females, you'll have this nice straight, not straight, but a small curved line to just show the smoothness, and that's usually how it works. Okay, let me hide the annotations and select back my clay strips and just look around and see what's happening. Okay, so I think it's time for the eyes, and for the eyes, let's get back the annotation. We can actually, let's duplicate. Oh, I guess this is a new one. And what I look for, sorry, the blue is not visible. So I look at the head top and a head bottom, and somewhere in the middle, I'll draw the line. And this is the place where I'm going to try position my eyes. At some point, I might still use the grab brush tool. So let's form the eyes, eye sockets. And now let's draw this. I see a lot of people confused why we're drawing this line, but this is more as a skull. And when you have this cravings in your mesh, it's much easier to draw the nose side, because if you don't have it, your these bubbles will be very high, and they usually go in the face. As well as when you're going to draw your muscles, it's much easier from this position. And I even carve in more of the side. And now what I do, I have the sharp line. And for stylized characters, I want to get rid of it. And I, again with the clay strips, draw on that line from a bit of the side view to make it smoother. Now I'll smooth everything. And I like to add a lot of resolution early. But I see that my eyes climb up very high, so I will drag them a bit down. And now I feel like I can go a bit higher with my resolution. If you're not comfortable and your meshes are usually becoming very wobbly at this stage, don't hurry up with adding more resolution. It's just how usually I like to do it, but it can be much harder to work this way. Okay, so I'll go back to the object mode, and in the mesh settings I will add the sphere. Now don't move the sphere so it's in center, and go into the mirror mode. Now enter the edit mode and use G shortcut for moving the object, and press R. Now X to rotate it on X-axis only, and right 90 to rotate it 90 degrees. I'm going to scale the eyeball, going to the top view with 7 on numpad, now 3 for the side view, and try to position my eyes. For how big the eyes should be, it really depends for what style you're trying to go. Some of the cartoons' eyes even overlap how big they are, but I like to have a bit of the distance. So when I'm looking at the eyes, I'm kind of looking that this is almost the same as here. And let's go into the solid move. I think our eyes are quite big. Well, in case I won't like it at some point, it's not really hard to change how big they should be. Let's press back on our mesh and let's go into the sculpting mode. At this point, I just like to look around and form our nose bridge. So our nose bridge, a bit on a higher point, will have a small dent and a smooth fall off to the nose pointy part. I'll use the grab tool to make the line closer. And with the clay strips, I will start adding some mesh. Now there's a lot of variations you can try to adding your mesh, but I think having the smooth lines and then bubbles, we'll add a bubble in here as well. We're not really trying to form it perfectly for now, just I have a nice representation for it. What I do next is try to form something of the eyes. So I see that this is too close to my eye, so I'll use a grab tool and a bit drag it out, not too much. Don't be too drastic with it. And at the side, I will drag this one a bit further in the head. When it's really big eyeball, this part goes very far back. Okay, so now with the draw sharp, this brush, I form a corner. And I think that maybe our eyes are actually too big at this point. So if you have a new blender, you can press D and it should switch through the object of sculpting mode. But I will just press this small dot and now I'm in this sculpting mode, and I will just press S to scale it and use the move tool to move it. Now when you have a mirror, it's going to mirror the movement, but if you apply the mirror modifier, just use asymmetry. And I will try to move them in a position, check from the side, and check on the wireframe and see how it looks like. I think it's fine. Let's go back into sculpting mode of the head. And with the draw sharp, I'll just get rid of these parts. Okay, quite big eyes, a lot to see. Now, I like to add ears very early and always use mask for ears because this is probably the easiest. Another easiest would be adding ears as a separate object, but this is the second easiest way. So I kind of get the ear shape in my mask, press A, invert mask, and with the grab tool I try to get my dot at this edge so I can have quite sharp drag. I'm increasing my brush size of the grab tool so the transitions are smoother and shape something like this. Try to perfect the shape. And on cartoons, the ears are quite visible. We can have it like this. Don't be afraid, it's not going to look like a monkey, it's going to look fine. Now, with an A, I'm going to invert the mask again, and on the side view, I'm going to drag the mesh down. And you can see I'm forming this sharp transition from the ear to the head. I'll drag a bit head closer to itself, invert the mask and drag this one a bit out so our ear is not stuck to the head. And I will invert mask again. From this view I will try to get the ear close head positioned like this. As you can see, it's very easy to form this way and we don't have to keep remasking the object. Now when you've been dragging a lot, let's just create a new annotation. I will show you. Now when we've been dragging a lot of head for the ear, you can see that we have this weird shape in here. Probably should draw on the surface so we can rotate in the viewports and see what's happening better. Sorry, so let's do it again quickly. Oh, as you can see, I have this weird shape because I've been dragging a lot and it's not okay. But we still have our ear mask, so we can just use a grab brush and drag this one out again and smooth. And our head is fixed and we have a quite looking ears already in place. So what I do, I usually don't like my cheeks to be bigger than the head, and actually the cheeks can be a bit bigger than the head, but if you want you can make them smaller like this. Let's keep it a bigger for now and let's see how everything unfolds. So what I do next, in the Disney especially, some of the noses are quite positioned down, so let's position it closer like this. And with the crease brush, Shift C for shortcut, let's crease up the sides and the bottom of the nose. Again, smooth. And let's try positioning our mouth. I'll probably will have to still be using a lot of grab tool because I feel like my nose is too up high. I usually from the bottom of the jaw and the middle of the eyes. I think the nose should be in the middle. And now it feels a bit too high for this character, but it's okay. We're gonna check it later and see if it still looks not right. So with the draw sharp, I will start drawing the shape of the lips. The shape is quite important, but as well, we can use a lot of grab brush tool to fix the shape if we don't like it later, but try to be patient and Ctrl Z a few times till you like the shape. It looks a bit weird, but that's fine. And with the draw sharp, I'm going to draw a chin shape, smooth. Don't forget to use the crease brush tool to crease up the lips as well. I will smooth the side. And I think at this point we can start somewhat positioning how our eyes should be. So what I do, I choose a clip clay strips and draw this small, very small eyelid. And this is only to see the position of eyelid. When I'm done with the position, I will go here and hide my eyeball. And now I can easier, and with the bigger brush, keep drawing my eyelid. Now, don't draw corner like this, add it up. And let's draw quite a lot of it. At this point, I actually feel like I need more topology, so I'll go to 500,000, 600,000. The harder is for you to control the mesh, the lower I think you should go. I feel quite confident, so I will go for 600,000. And I'll just slowly add and more resolution. If your computer is quite slow, it can be a very heavy operation. 520. I think we can try 520 and see how it works. So I'll smooth the mesh and unhide my eyeball. Now with the draw sharp, while holding a Ctrl, so the brush is working other way and not carving in as it usually does. Let's carve out the sharp eyelid. And we can do with the same flow shape the bottom of the eyelid. Now, a lot of Disney eyes usually have the corner a bit down and a bottom lifted, as well as the distance between the eyelids here, here, and here should be different. Same in here. So I see that the distance is very big in here. So I will use the grab brush tool and get this closer to the eye. Let's hide so it is not blocking the view. Now, if you see it very wobbly, we can remesh it again. And don't forget to save your files, always save it. And with the crease brush tool, now we can crease this and get a more correct shape, as well as using as very slight strokes of smoothing brush. If it's hard for you to getting a straight, very nice straight lines, you can go into the options of the brushes, and in the stroke options there is a stabilized stroke option, and the radius depends on how hard it is for you to draw a straight line. If you feel like it's very hard, go to like 125. But if you're still quite comfortable, 90, 75 is enough. You can see this line, and this line will help you draw a way straighter line. I'll turn it off, and on a corner I just add inside, so I'm not using Control for draw sharp, I just carve in and I have this sharp line. Now with the Control and Shift both selected, I just click and get this lasso masking tool. I mask this and smooth few times. Now I will use a grab brush tool and get this closer to the corner, as well as when I look at the side view, I always look at how my eyelids are looking. Okay. Let's use the eraser a bit. Okay, so what I'm looking is for a nice straight line, and in here you can see is a line, a bit of wobbliness, and the line continues. So we'll have to fix this small bump. It's currently masked, so let's clear the mask and try to get a nice clean shape. Don't get your eyelid too close to the eye. There should be some separation between them. And we have quite nice eyes. Let's move a bit of the head because we were adding more topology to it. So now we have more mesh. And I will use crease brush again and crease the lips. Again with the crease brush, but holding Control, I will draw in the lip shape. And same with the bottom lip. The crease brush, I will also crease the chin. And you can see our face became very bubbly. Now, if you're going for that, that's fine. But in this case, I'm not trying to make it very bubbly. But first I will fix the lip shape, I think how it should be. You can have a lot of tries and see which lip shape you like the most. And on the side view, I'll move my lips a bit closer. Now, from the bottom, I'll drag out the lips a bit up ahead and form like a horseshoe shape. As well, we can use a lasso mask as well, Control Shift to mask this. With the simple mask brush, we can fill out the areas. Let's move it. And we can drag out the bottom lip a bit more. I mean the top lip, sorry. Clear the mask. And with the draw sharp, I can still see how my shape is going. So I actually think her face is too bubbly for my liking. So what I do is, firstly, I'll check the areas. Okay, so first I see my cheeks are way bigger than my head itself. So I will try to make it less. And as well, I check this area. This area is very tricky. Let me draw on which area. This area is very tricky because on a slimmer face, it can actually be this way. And you can see this weird line, how much it changes the face. And it's a lot about how you prefer. As well as the chin, I want to have it a bit spikier chin. and that changes a lot. As well as this part, making her very bubbly too. And now I think it's the part where we're going to fix the nose position. So what I'm going to do is use the mask brush and mask whole nose. It can mask a bit of the side of the nose. And invert the mask and smooth the mask. Now, you may ask, why do I not smooth mask here? And why do I invert and smooth? So what the smooth mask do is actually shrink or grow the mask. So it depends if your mask is like this or inverted. If I smooth now, the mask will shrink. But if I invert and smooth my mask, the mask you see is becoming a bit bigger. And when I invert, I'll have a smoother transitions with my grab brush tool. So I'll grab and move. I can make it a bit point here. And move the side back of the nose. Can have it a bit bigger as well. Let's clear the mask. And I like to use a draw sharp even here and draw in my shape of the nose. When I like my shape of the nose, I will use a simple sculpt draw brush and sculpt in a bigger hole. So at this point, I usually like to add a bit more resolution, but we can keep here and just save the file and remesh it. Okay, when we're done with the remesher, let's crease the lips again, because remesh always makes this weird topology. That's why a lot of people like to use Dyn Toba. Okay, so we still should keep working on the nose shape. So now it kind of prefer what nose shape you prefer. That's what you're trying to do. But in a lot of Disney noses, I see that this bridge is thicker. And the top here of the nose is thicker as well. Now, when you draw sharp and draw the lines, this part becomes way too sharp. So with the clay strips, I try to add a bit more to the sides to make it softer transition. And gently smooth. Now we get this weird bubble. What you have to do is try to form that there's no this big back bulge, and it kind of follows your inner nose shape. What I will do, I will use the crease brush tool. I'll use draw sharp maybe first, and draw in a better shape of my nose, and use a crease brush and draw it again. I'll move it a bit back, just a little bit, and smooth very gently from far apart. I'll make this a bit bigger as well, and have a nice triangle shaped nose. A lot of cartoony noses have this with the flatten brush, flatten up shape like this at the bottom of the nose. So if that's what you prefer, you can do. and smooth. It's a nice cute nose. A lot of them can be even thicker and closer and be a bit more flat with the face. You can even have this closer because this is a cartoon. Now we can see we have a big bubbly cheeks, so we have to fix the shape a little bit. What first thing I see is that we kind of have an alien shaped head. I will drag it just a bit down because I feel like I have to. It's getting too close to the top of the head. And we have quite a few weird lines which we shouldn't have. So first line is this dropout weird line. And this is quite weird. And this part is weird. This, and this. I will show how to fix them all. What we can do is use clay strips or even a flattening brush is a bit easier, and flatten this side of the head. Of course, we're working on both sides, and we will have this nice flow. So this is kind of a skull forming, and with some of the clay strips I just add a bit on like this. It's a bit hard to explain, but it's all about the head shape. As well as I feel like the corners is too far back because we can see them from not rotating too much. So I'll move it a bit back. And now it feels a bit more natural. And we need to add on cheeks because now we don't have cheeks, we have just the straight dead line down. So in cartoon characters, the cheeks are quite big. And just try to follow in with the shape what I am doing. Sometimes the orientation on how you use a brush is important as well. Now we can fill in this. And we have a quite nice complicated shape. I always like to redraw some in the shapes. And this is not bad, but if you still think that you don't want this bubble thing, you can just draw it back in a few times. And eventually you will get rid of it. Your head might be different because you have a focal length of 50. I like to change it to 75 or 85. You can go even higher than that. I don't like this bubbliness, so I'll use a lot of smooth brush. And smooth, that's fine with the cartoon style heads. Maybe I'll make the chin a bit bigger. It's a lot about playing at this point, but I think like we have a quite nice base. Now, every time I try to draw a stylized head, they usually look different. And I think this one turned out pretty well. Okay, so let's quickly finish up with the ears. What do? I always use draw sharp and start with this part of the ear. So I carve in the shape like this. And smooth a little bit. Now with the simple sculpt draw, I draw in like this. I think our ear got a bit pushed back, so we can easily move it with the grab brush tool. And let's form something like this. And this is actually quite enough for the ears if you don't like them doing more. But we can do a bit more work. Let's use a clay strips. I drawn in weight too low, so I'll drag this one a bit higher. With the grab brush tool, I will shape something like this. And again, with the draw sharp, I like to work with more topology, but this is enough topology. Clay strips. I'm adding this one, this part, because it felt like there was missing. It had a dent, and I don't like dents. I will move this closer to the head. Let's move our head as well. As are quite huge. You can actually grab and drag this one down. And even eyes. Can go into the eyes. It's all about now adjusting on how you like it. But I'm just showing what do I do, so maybe something you will pick up and say, oh, I like that too. And you will do it as well. You don't have to, but with the crease brush you can show the jaw shape and how it's separated from the neck. See, it doesn't have a difference. Can add again some more shape like this. It's a lot about testing, as I said. That's why when you're starting to sculpt, you're not really sure how the shape should be, and when you're a bit more experienced, you kind of go with what shape you actually like. And when you're just the beginning, your eyes are still not ready to do these complicated choices. I actually like smaller ears for cartoony style. And I'll show you the next line. So what I'm looking at, let me just create a new one. What I'm looking at now is some of the lines. So the nose with the ear is on the same line. Usually they say the ear should finish in here, but it's a cartoonish so you can make it much lower and smaller. So as I said, middle of the eyes, the bottom of the chin is somewhere your nose is, the middle. Maybe this part is the middle. And in between this line and the chin, our lips. And we got a pretty nice cartoonish head. Now, if you want to present it better, I will still crease a bit of the eyelid and make it thicker here, because I see the lines are not the same length. Okay, so let's go back into the layout. By the way, I forgot that you can change the matte caps and use the one you like. You can download 10 of the matte caps for free on my gumroad. Okay, let's try representing the head. So a lot of things come out actually not from the head but from the accessories. So let's add any mesh, doesn't matter which one. I'll add cube, have it in the center. This orange, well, it's green in my, but it usually is the orange color. This dot has to be in the center or your mirror will not work correctly. So I will go into edit mode, have everything selected. You can select everything with shortcut A. Let me turn on the screencast keys in this view because it's in a sculpting view. And I'll just press X and delete absolutely everything. Now I will go into the mirror option and just add the mirror, in the modifiers, and with the snap tool, which is here, I'll choose the face and closer to the view, I'll start adding the mesh. Now, if you don't know how to add it, it's holding Ctrl and clicking. With the right mouse click, you will get a dot. Now, if you have something selected and you will click it, it will extrude. But it's usually much easier just to use E when you're extruding. So I'll add a shape around here. I'll add another one extruded a bit higher. And with this one, I'll try to form my eyelash. I will add one in here. How you can add this one is have these both selected. They have to be connected. You can connect them with F. And what I'm going to do now is add one vertex up here. You can use Ctrl R to add one. This is adding edge loops, or you can use a subdivide option and it will have one more in here. You can actually hide the head to see better. And I'll just use E to extrude one more in the middle. Now selecting 4, I'll press F and get the face. I'll hide the head so you can see better. And now when I have one face, I'll only need to select 2 and keep pressing F to fill in the faces. You can test out if it works with this one, but it doesn't work in my case, so I'll select these ones. And now we're here. Easy fill in. What I do now is select the top, go into the top view as well. Oh, by the way, how to select the edge loop is just holding Alt and clicking on this line. Now, if you'll click here, it will select this line. So pay attention where you are clicking. What we can do is prepare a bit fancier rotating options, but if you want, you can just rotate it like this. And what I look is this dot being closer to these, and this one is going to be pushed out because the eyelashes go in front. You can do the same with this one, or deselect this one, and with the vertex option selected and right click, you can smooth vertices and repeat this operation, and it should make a smooth transition. You can select this one and shape it. Now you can use a solidifier, but I just extrude and not worry about it. When I extrude, I lift this a bit higher and use a subdivision surface, add 2 of these and shade smooth. Now we have a nice eyelashes, and with the face selection or even line selection, I press O or in here to get a special moving option. And now when I will move, you will see the circle. You can change the circle size with the scroll wheel. I'll turn on the snap and just move the eyelid closer to the eyelashes. There's a lot of ways to form your eyelashes. This is one of the ways. You can also have some adjustments, so if you don't like that this line is like this, I will deselect the O option and drag this one a bit higher. So it's a lot about testing. You can add this one higher. And form the eyelashes. Okay, we should do the same to the bottom. Let's just hide our subdivision and Control click. Don't forget to have a snap tool because your vertex will go no one knows where. And now let's add the same way as we did on the top. Now we add the bottom of the eye. Actually, let's make it different this time and just select everything. Let's drag this one out. I like the form that this distance is shorter than here. I just like the look of this. And can use again to extrude. You can extrude the way you want and shape it. And don't forget to use shade smooth. And I can. Maybe it's too big and too far ahead, so let's use proportional editing again. Now we can all choose connected only. If you will not have this choose connect only, you will move the top as well. But if we have this selected, now the top is not moving. And we can position our beautiful eyelashes closer to the eyes. As well as this might be too big, so I'll make this closer. We can have the sharp edge by adding Ctrl R, one more loop, and just getting it closer to the edge. Now as you can see, it's sharp. And we can do the same with the eyebrows. What will I do? I add one more. Let's turn off the proportional editing, add a new vertex in here, and start forming my eyebrow. I will show you what form I usually see in the eyebrow. So this kind of goes a straight line, and where your head shape or almost close to the corner of the eye finishes, the eyebrow shape drops. So let's add another face like this, and with each extrusion it's getting smaller and smaller in the width. I'll add the face now, and Ctrl R to add the edge loop, form the sides like triangles, and L2 on, and hovering the object, pressing L will select only the object, and extrude, shade smooth. And now we have a quite surprised character. What we can do is have everything selected and just adjust how high it should be. Maybe it's too big, so we can use a bit of proportional editing. Let's have a bigger, and you can turn on the snap so it doesn't do these weird things. If it's too extreme, you can lower the sharpness. Now we have a nice head with the eyebrows and eyelashes. So that's it for the cartoony style head. Thank you all for watching the tutorial, and see you in the next one.